What's good, y'all? It's your boy Brand New from intergalactichippie.com, and I am here today to talk about Ascension. What is Ascension? Ascension is the raising of the frequency of the earth and every living thing on it, you included. This brief talk will discuss dimensions and the shift and move through them that we experience as living beings on an ascending planet. So, if you have a body, you are existing in the third dimension. Your body exists in time and space in the third dimension. Now, your consciousness is much like a radio station. It can be tuned and dialed to different frequencies. You hear country music down the street. You might not know the song, you might not know the musician, but you know it's country. You hear hip hop music from far off in the distance. Same deal. The frequencies of consciousness are the same way. So third dimensional consciousness is very clear cut. I'm right, you're wrong, black and white. Judgment, feeling good about oneself based on someone else, or feeling bad about oneself based on someone else, comparing, contrasting, analyzing, categorizing, comparing, labeling, better, worse, good, bad, best. That's very third dimensional, right? Third dimensional. We have to win. That's the enemy. We need to fight this, the war on whatever. That's third dimensional, right? So that frequency is very clear. You can see it, you can hear it, like country music coming from down the road. Third dimensional consciousness. You can feel it in your body. If you're a physical empath, you can hear it in words. You can see it on the news, in the headlines. So that's very third dimensional, right? Those frequencies exist in fear and lack, perceived lack. I don't have what I need, so I don't feel safe now, but when this thing happens later, then I'll be safe. But I won't be safe until it's that idea of like, I'm not okay right now, but something will happen later, or someone will come along later and do something for me that will make me okay, or a certain circumstance, or political climate, or a certain sports team that wins the Super Bowl, then everything will be okay. It's this idea of, it's not good now, something needs to happen, right? So then we have the fifth dimension. If you're following along, yes, I skipped over the fourth. I'll come back to that. The fifth dimension is a frequency that you're able to tune into that exists here and now. But in contrast to 3D, which time appears to be linear, this happened before, that's happening later, past, future, one thing leads to another. In the fifth dimension, time as we know it ceases to exist, and time is no longer linear. There is one moment that everything happens in, and that moment is called now. In the fifth dimension, every single thing that ever did happen, is happening, and will happen, all happens now. So even if you say, well, later tonight I'm gonna have dinner, when you're sitting down to have that dinner, that moment for you will be now. Everything that ever happened is happening now in still frame snapshot moments. Each now moment is just a still frame snapshot, much like a marble in a jar. And it has the appearance of motion for us as we move our consciousness with our intentions from one marble to the next. So in the fifth dimension, anything is possible because everything that exists now. So, some things are easier to manifest because that still frame snapshot now moment is closer to where you are in that marble in the jar. So if I say like, I want an ice cream cone, I can make that happen within the hour. That's not going to be hard for me. I know where ice cream is, right? But if I say I want to have a home in Africa, that's possible too. There's going to be a bit of a lag before I'm able to move my consciousness with my intention through my choices through these different now snapshot moments to get to the home in Africa marble in the jar. It's further away from me than the ice cream one is right now. So that's fifth dimension. In the fifth dimension, because everything just is what it is, there's no past, there's no future, there's no before, there's no later. Everything happens now. And because everything happens now in the present moment, nothing is good or bad. Because good and bad are third dimensional concepts that only exist when time is present. And in the fifth dimension, we've ascended above time. Not above, like one's not better or worse, they're just different. You know, you can have an opinion, well, I like country better than hip hop, or I like classic rock. Like you can say, I like third dimensional living. I love the ego loves to feel right or wrong, it doesn't care. So like when I say above, the fifth dimension isn't better or worse than the third, it's just different. So in the fifth dimension, we've transcended time. So we've also transcended judgment, because it just is what it is. Everything's matter of fact. You know, that shirt is red. There's no like, red shirts are evil, and if you're caught wearing a red shirt in this town, we have a law that says you go to jail. No, it's just like, that shirt is red. You know, things just are what they are. There's no labels or judgment on them. So the whole planet collectively is moving from this third dimensional place of fear and perceived lack and judgment to a place that is judgment free and label free and full of unconditional love, because nothing's wrong and nothing's right. It's just freedom to exist. It's called 5D, the fifth dimension, or heaven on earth, because it's a place of unconditional love and grace and acceptance. And it's very peaceful. Now, to get to the fifth dimension, if you noticed, I skipped through the fourth. The fourth dimension is a necessary place of refinement. The fourth dimension is like the astral plane, like the place of the imagination and of nightmares, the scary stuff. If you're tuned into conspiracy theory stuff real heavy, and microchips and the government and everything that's just nothing can be trusted, and double agents and all that stuff, that's very real and that exists. It's a fourth dimensional consciousness that you've tuned into. So that's very real in that fourth dimension. Now there's a lower fourth dimension and there's an upper fourth dimension. In the lower fourth dimension, we face the deepest, darkest, most difficult parts of ourselves. Finally, that's how you ascend out of it. At first, it just seems pretty scary. Many of us go through what's called the dark night of the soul, where this third dimensional self that you really thought you were, I'm a husband and a school teacher and I do this and a PTA, and all these labels that we put on ourselves in the third dimension to give ourselves worth and value, because we compare ourselves to everything constantly, and in the third dimension you got to have money and success and prestige, and that's how you matter. Like when, let's say, COVID hits and you lose your job and you lose everything that you thought you were, or your wife divorces you, or, you know, your kid dies, or like just things that are ground shattering, life changing, right? That stuff. And you no longer have your identity to keep you safe anymore. Well, that could be terrifying, right? You don't know who you are. You don't have your security blanket anymore. The dark night of the soul is no joke. It's a time when your entire world feels flipped upside down, as if nothing is the same anymore. You don't know which way is up. And also at the same time, you're going through this ascension process, so your third eye is beginning to open and you're beginning to see into other dimensions. The veil is thinning. The third dimensional veil is thinning, and you're seeing, that's where all the conspiracy stuff comes from. You start to see this bigger truth of, oh my God, this is happening, and I thought it was this way this whole time, and now these people are in charge, and this was said, but this is what was meant, and it's scary, and you don't know what to trust, and then you start to understand a little bit more about what's happening, and then you start to, now blame comes in again. If it wasn't for, and then now you're fighting something new, right? And then we get to a place where we've worked through all our resentments and we realize we're the source of them all. And we've worked through all of the things that we blamed other people for and realized that we played a part in it. And we get to this place where we could no longer judge anyone or anything else, because we realize that we are in all things, and given the right situations and circumstances, your consciousness could have been that still frame snapshot marble in the jar. And you all of a sudden realize, oh my gosh, I'm in 5D, I'm here now. Wow. Right? And then there's this time where, you know, when you're changing the radio station in the car, old school style, before Sirius XM and all that stuff, and you're in between stations. It's half country and half hip hop, and you can't really hear either all that well, and both are a little staticky, but you can kind of sense both of them. Like, that's a weird kind of like, that's dark night of the soul too, because you get these glimpses of like, everything's fine, and then back into the, and neither one's really comfortable, right? Hang in there if that's you right now. Check out my website, intergalactichippie.com. We have starseed birth chart readings. We read your natal chart to see which star system you may have had lifetimes in before. We have a blog. We sell pretty cool groovy t-shirts. And I offer coaching. If you think that you would like to talk with me in this type of a manner on FaceTime or Skype, I offer that. It's like $40 for a half hour, and it's intuitive, and you're gonna be different afterwards. And I sell bundle packages. If you know you want to do that regularly, once a week or whatever works for you, I offer packages to make it affordable. Also, if you just want to text somebody and have their support, I offer texting plans where you could just text me anytime you want, and there's a monthly charge for that. So intergalactichippie.com. I'm your boy, brand new. Thanks for tuning in. This was Ascension Talk, 3rd through 5th dimension 101.